we're already pretty far along, aren't we? Number 8 already. Footnote 4. Bonny Birds. After the disappearance of Alice, Rachel takes over, wreaking a reign of terror over the children. She almost beats Lawrence to death. However, she's pregnant and has a baby at this time. Once she has had the baby, Ada breaks a chickenpox spot over the baby and rubs it into the baby's face. However, the baby then dies, causing Ada to feel guilt as she thinks it may have been her fault the baby dies. However, Ada dies too, and as does Lawrence on his way back from England in 1914, and Frederick from being drunk outside and dying of cold as he can't reach the doorknob. Idiot. Alice dies. Not, as she is still alive. Characterization. Ada acts as a maternal figure for the other children in Alice's absence. Lawrence's face is tutored into sullenness by Ada's example, showing she acts as a tutor to the children, teaching them to go against Rachel. However, her more psychotic side is revealed when she rubs the spot into the baby's face. "I've got yon poor bairn tied up like a dog. It's you that should be tied up." Ada tells Albert the story of Snow White and other stories, which cause him to think, "Mother's coming back?" This may be the reason that, in later life as an adult, Albert didn't really believe in death. Rachel terrorizes the kids the entirety of the chapter, which is fired by her intense hatred of her cousin Alice, who she calls Dizzy Idol. She also calls the children a disgrace, which she explains by the fact that they are unruly and sullen, ignorant of their Bible, their hems hanging down, their handkerchiefs filthy. Rachel is portrayed as practical but mean-spirited, saying things to the children such as, "Yes now, Lawrence, me lad, or I'll have to soil this bucket over your ugly head." Literary techniques. For once I'm going to say it in a normal voice. Rachel fills the role of evil stepmother here, the traditional role, and throughout the book she does terrible things. Ada even reads Albert the Snow White story, which is used to draw comparisons between the evil stepmother in Snow White and Rachel. Ada and her stepmother would face each other across the kitchen like rival queens. The people of the West Country, particularly Frederick, talk in the West Country dialect, saying things like, "That's a reet wookhouse, lass." Albert was playing with his soldiers, chronologically foreshadowing his time in the war. Although the reader already knows this, it's foreshadowing from the event, which takes place here, as it's before Albert's experiences in the war. "Art thou going to be a soldier when thou's grown, Albert?" She didn't believe it possible that her mother could have gone and left them forever. Their mother has indeed left them. Ada didn't know how her mother could be dead without leaving a corpse behind. This chapter does do a lot of foreshadowing about the fact that Alice is alive, although it does eventually reveal that she is. Which brings me to my next technique. Okay, I don't know if there's technically a technique, but bear with me here. After hinting for the whole chapter that Alice is in fact alive, Atkinson reveals this to the reader. They didn't know, of course, that even as they sat together, their mother was screaming and throwing a vase across a bedroom in Whitby, a vase which had the misfortune to hit Monsieur Jean-Paul Armand square in the temple. Ada's righteous anger is described as her spitting like a kitten, which amusingly echoes Bunty's thoughts of being tigerish in the previous footnote. Themes of the novel, not The Simpsons. Ada also uses a bright artificial smile, but unlike with Bunty and Babs, it is in this case meant to be used mockingly. Atkinson once again lists food, this time to show the dedication of Rachel to her new job as a housewife, the mundane nature of whom likely rubbed off on Nell and Bunty. She describes this as clever housewifery. Alice's clock is mentioned here, the clock that was present at the birth of Ruby. This is another thing that connotes Ruby and Alice, and the link between them, by several themes throughout the novel that are also linked between them. That sentence doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to leave it in anyway.
Alice is the one here who has blonde curls, but she's the one exception to the rule of everyone dying early, because she doesn't die early, although everyone thinks she does, so I suppose it kind of counts. This is interesting because Pearl doesn't have blonde curls, and Ruby doesn't know she's dead, so it could be the blonde curls. It could be about knowing people are dead rather than them actually being dead. Just a thought. Don't write that in the exam because I'm not sure if that counts. It's a proper thought. Although, it's an interesting thought, so maybe write it in the exam. I don't know. Ask your teacher. Like Pearl and Gillian, Ada dies in the cold and Christmas time, creating a further connection between her and Pearl. They would have to use picks to break the ground for Ada.